entrance and brand change, so but we're one and the same. We just got a makeover, added some color, and everybody needs to be redone. And I do help with businesses try to find ways to work with the government on whatever level. Oh, we're free of charge. We're free 99. Oh, free 99. Free of charge nonprofit, and happy to be a part of the Spoke. And yeah, that real long.
Would you repeat the new name? Because I keep getting
Apex Accelerator.
Thank you.
Now we're just going to Washington Apex, but again, we're one and the same. Many people were just trying to make sure they make the connection so they don't think that we're a totally different organization.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Jordan. I'm waiting for it. Yes. I didn't have the Bulls thing ready, but it's okay. We'll work on the synergy next time. I am working with the Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective. As our spoke is kind of Black-owned businesses, so got to talk with Doug a little bit, but we got to reconnect. But I take I would say, agile project management approach to business challenges. So helping businesses break down what outcomes they need, order them, and then focus on them, getting to them one at a time. Also work to share the perspective of what the reality is versus the expectation for Black-owned businesses. I like to share different statistics. I shared one earlier. It's from a McKinney & Company study, and it states that 50% of businesses generally fail within 3 years. For Black-owned businesses, that percentage is 96%. So there's something in the water. There's something that is related to systems design that impacts the success of some businesses more than others. So we try to share that information and use that to observe and see what is in place that can cause those restrictions. And if anybody wants to go to the website and support, it's www.bcbnavigator.org, and then just click Get Support.
Good morning. My name is Hans Kim. I work for Asia Pacific Cultural Center. We work with my team is called BCES, Business Community Engagement Services. We work with all language people, which is Asian plus Pacific Islander. So we work with about 47 different language people. So whatever that people request for help, well, we never deny. We try to do the best we can to serve the people in this community.
And we have a special guest. Go ahead.
Hi, so I guess I'm supposed to be up here.
Yeah,
So
here you are. So here you are.
My name is Gwen Cole. I work for Business Impact Northwest. And normally it's my colleague Zia, who's been a part of the Navigator program. I recently joined the organization. And we do all sorts of pre-business coaching, as well as we have a loan readiness center, which is where I work. So helping businesses get access to that capital and that financial literacy, the spreadsheets, putting together a loan package, and education around what that takes.
Thank you, you guys. That's perfect. And I know everybody in the room probably knows everybody already, but now you know that we're connected too. So just one more highlight to highlight what we already got going on, which is really great. Thank you. We also have one event to club, and I'll hand it back over to Tamsin. So I do have a resource table up here if you guys want to take photos or take flyers or put your flyers out, you're welcome to. The Thriving Together resource event that's happening on October 18th. It is happy birthday to you there. We do have some free resource tables if you would like to be a resource provider there. And we do have 3 tracks for learning, government contracting, financial literacy, and marketing and branding. And that is going to be from 8:30 to 12:30 at the McGavick Conference Center, which is Clover Park Technical College. So if you're interested in doing a table, let me know. I'll send you the link. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I actually have one more announcement before we get to showing the results and the tech part of the mapping things.
Hey, I love this space. I think being an entrepreneur is so cool. I get to hang out with entrepreneurs all day, and entrepreneurs have so much energy because they're talking about what they're doing, right? And they're sharing it with you. Since I've been in this space, I started 2 new businesses, and I hope to start much more, right? And the cool thing about doing something, I believe, is that you learn by doing. So by being with entrepreneurs all day, I learn from them. And right now, I'm learning how to import a shipping container at the Port of Tacoma. It's stuck down there. If anyone knows how to help me with that, please reach out. That's a real thing. All right. My name is Don. I'm the director at Startup 253. And what we do is we bring together entrepreneurs, venture capital, city leaders, and anyone else who's interested. Because we also have an open door policy, right? I was just at this event with Kirsten last week in Gig Harbor, and an entrepreneur came up to me and he was like, Stan, I have this hot sauce for you. I don't know what to do, right? And we sat there, we tasted it, and we talked about how to get it to market, going to farmers markets and everything else. And we have a meeting. I found out he lives nearby, so he's going to invite me over for margaritas. So I love this space. And a couple things that we're working on is we have Startup Week coming up on October 30th to November 3rd. And we want to reach out to our community, which is y'all, to help us host events, whatever it is you might think you might be an expert at, or whatever you can give back to the entrepreneurial community. Right now, we have a lot of spaces already full. There are still some voids, still some gaps in that calendar. So reach out, and we'd love for y'all to help us participate and give back to our entrepreneurial community. Thank you, Tamsin.
Awesome, thank you. I'm excited about Startup Week. Who else? Yeah. Well, and now let's get back to these results. Thank you guys for taking the survey.
All right. So I think I'm going to stay here just so I can kind of drive. Good afternoon, everybody. Greg Twyman here with Next Consulting. And one of the things, I think Tamsin set this up pretty well with what we're trying to do here as an ecosystem here in Pierce County. And when she said, when you come to one of us, you come to all of us, I think that's huge, right? So having the Pierce County Navigators come up and introduce themselves, right? For some of us, we don't know who they are, right? In some cases, it's been turnover, right? So who was a navigator is probably a new navigator today. But it's important that we familiarize ourselves with one another and we be a community that we want to see, right? We be a community that we want to build, right? And we have a responsibility as support organizations to small businesses to do this well, right? Like, we are responsible. The small business owner, the entrepreneur, is not responsible for us organizing and serving them well. We're responsible for that. And so, thank you all for being here. And so, in the spirit of doing work that is really collaborative, right? We asked you to rank what priority should this particular collective, this particular group focus on? Because we said, I think we were virtual in April, right, for our first meeting, right? And we said we don't want to meet just to meet. We don't want to meet just to talk. Yes, we need to get to know each other. Yes, we need to build community. And as Don said, we need to get stuff done, right? Entrepreneurs, they're thinking about what they're doing. Small business owners are getting things done. We have to have that same heart, same attitude. So that's what the ranking was about. What are our priorities? What are we going to get done? Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay, so this is just by the numbers, right? Here's what we have. So in the area of finance, can everybody see this okay? For folks in the back? Andrew, you got it? Okay. For finance, we just took the top number one. It was increased financial literacy. What folks are probably meaning by that is for small businesses, right? For entrepreneurs, increase their business financial literacy. Number two, improve access to funding and identify funding sources for early stage entrepreneurs. I could comment on all of these. I'm going to try not to tangent just for the sake of time. And then the third, in terms of ranking, was remove barriers to capital, right? And so here we're for sure thinking about what are the access paths, right, to folks acquiring capital for operations, for expenses, for staffing, right? We know they're out there. Some of us work in that specifically. How are we creating bridges for folks to in our community to have awareness and to also access? Okay, and then human capital. Priorities number one, training opportunities and post-accelerator. It's been, accelerators and incubators are huge and for sure essential. Sometimes it can feel like a drop-off for small business owners after it's over. Like, okay, what next? What do I do with resources? What do I do with this training? Do I just go back to swimming alone? And so I I kind of speak to that one because it comes up over and over in your results. So training opportunities, post an accelerator, post an incubator. Another idea was a vetted professional service providers list. And so that's who are folks in our community that we know does small business bookkeeping well. Who do we know that is really good at graphic design for the small business owner and is not going to charge them $350 an hour for a brain refresh and they can't afford that in the first place, right? Like, so what's a vetted list that we can curate and be loosely kind of like responsible for, right? Small business owners still need to do their own due diligence, but what kind of list can we curate to share that folks can easily access? And then improve connections to resources and mentorship. I think that goes without saying. In the support category, number one on the list was developing this ecosystem, right? So we hear you loud and clear. The vetted PSP list comes up again, and then the post-accelerator, post-incubator training comes up again in the support. You have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Just a little comment. The element that says training opportunities post-accelerator, I think it actually said pre and post.
Oh, okay.
And I think the pre is equally as important as the post.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of entrepreneurs that aren't ready for a 12-week or whatever long the accelerator, but there's coursework and training that will be beneficial to help them leapfrog.
Yeah, that's a
really get to an exceptional.
I think that's a really good comment. And so I'm gonna, Tamsin, if you can make a note of that, and then I'll change it in our document. But I appreciate that, Tracy.
And I'd also like to add, we need a system for starting up, for scaling up, and for stepping out. And I feel like none of our startup things include disaster response, resiliency, or how to exit your business. And that could be a 7-year process. So, just, anyways,
Yeah.
we'll make notes.
Thank you for that. That's a great one. I lost where I was at. Am I at education or support? Education. Let's jump to education. Increase multicultural inclusivity, regulatory navigation, training opportunities post-accelerator. We'll add the comment pre and post training, right? Because there's an ideation phase, right? There's some prep that should go into before somebody jump into that level of commitment. And then policy, your top 3, remove barriers in procurement and incentives for developers to be small business friendly, address vacant properties, and then number 3 was home incubation, which we have the comments from some folks who brought that up on the whiteboard in the meeting in June, so we understand what's happening there. And those are our results. Questions, comments, thoughts? Does this look accurate? Are we missing something?
We're missing something that I forgot to put on there.
What?
Helping public and private entities increase their vendor diversity. To be more inclusive of small businesses, startups, and by platform businesses too. So I feel like that should be on there somewhere.
Yeah.
But that was under policy change. Okay, we'll add that to policy and make that a priority.
Visibility. If you were a small business owner, like the first start of your business, you have no idea that any of these resources exist. You don't know how to find it. You don't know how to find help or what question to ask. You just know that you need help. So I would think that before you can get to any of that, you just need to be found and like visibility somehow.
The small business or the support?
The support organizations, like billboards coming down I-5, whatever it takes to be visible. That's always the hardest part. People don't know what they don't know until they find this.
Is your first thought when you're starting a business and you have an idea to think, I'm going to reach out to the Economic Development Board for or even economic development at all?
Your first thought is always what bank is going to give you the most money.
Exactly.
Not realizing that that's not even an option.
Yeah.
I think that
Should be.
Don?
I think you've done a great job with this. Just an additional thought we could throw into it another day is existing small businesses, especially Black-owned small businesses, as Michael pointed out, fail at a very high rate. Mentorship for those existing businesses could be a very valuable thing.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, because the Black Project did an amazing research project with Christina Blocker over there, so thank you for being here. And Would you guys be okay if we shared that research with the group here? Excellent. So in the follow-up to this meeting, we'll share that document out far and wide so we can start thinking about the policies. And there's a lot of really important things in there. Disproportionate impacts of crime, for instance, that really hurt these businesses. So I think that that's something that we need to share far and wide. And we'll get that out to you guys after this. If you'd like to say something about it, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to just add one note. I know that I've heard some conversation about the vendor list, and I think one thing to be mindful of is even if Black businesses or BIPOC businesses are added to those lists, there's still a perception, and this is just from DEIA clients we've worked with, are these folks as good as the other folks on the list? So there's that other barrier. So I think when we think about the vendor list, what also are we doing to ensure that the organization and the folks that make those decisions have done some work around mindset and bias to ensure that, oh, well, I don't feel like I'm minimizing the kind of work I'm looking for because I'm working with the BIPOC business. So that is a very real barrier that folks face.
Absolutely. How do we get gatekeepers out of procurement?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are really, really good ideas that we can add. We'll start making some structure. We've been in our pre-strategic plan, pre-action plan, just kind of gathering feedback and ideas from this group so far. Oh, thank you. So we'll put these things together and kind of share out how we can organize. So, oh, sorry, I'm going to plug that into. Okay, sorry, I need to make some of this.
Question too.
Yes.
Going off of what Christina said, we've talked about businesses being vetted and what it looks like. And I think a lot of times, because we're so focused on that entrepreneurial ground level that we really forget the ones that are already present. And that, I think sometimes that becomes a gatekeeper because there's nothing built for them to continue moving forward. And so, it's like in service provider work, we sit and we go after the minus 200% in the economy so we can upskill them all we want to.
Right.
But if you're bottleneck and we're struggling at minimum wage and trying to find something as well, there's never going to be a gate that allows you to come into what's already present. When you said start up, step up, and then step out, it's sort of that same mindset. It's like, okay, what's happening here to continue moving forward? Just like a first-time buyer, you buy a small house. You hope that the economy is enough for you to get to the next house, which allows you to raise your family, but it also makes room for the first-time home buyer that may not have had the opportunity because all the houses are bought up because you can't afford what's next. And so seeing in the mindset of what does that look like, what's next for the businesses that are looking right now, that are primarily successful at the stage that they're in right now, how do they level up to make room for those businesses that are coming in to be vetted and saying that, hey, we've been around and we've worked with that business that has jumped up right there, and so how do I build that portfolio so they jump to the middle? I mean, you got to build that belt of continuous movement, or it doesn't matter how many small businesses we start entrepreneurs we support. Everybody sitting the same way. So now, once again, it starts, especially in Black businesses and minority businesses, we now fight against each other to be better rather than being able to continue that race and see what it does for us all to be successful. I mean, it sounds great to start from the bottom, but once you get more bottleneck together, I'm going to do everything I can, regardless of what, to beat you out, because that's the only area that I'm in. It's a battle zone. So my goal is to beat you, and I'm trying to be successful and get us all to that next stage of what that looks like.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding. So like just having that support for existing businesses, and I think the SBU term is like a gazelle phase where they're revenue generating, or they're getting ready to hire, they're expanding, they're going to that next phase. So they move into that zone, and then the resources that were
The starters have room to move up.
Yeah.
No matter how, if you have the starters and they're supported with ample services, materials, coaching, cohorts, if there's no room at the next platform, because they're not going to jump over, as Christina stated, they're not vetted, so they're not going to be looked at in a way But if there's support for that middle section to sit and go to that next level, again, you can just start and you have that continuous movement of growth and you don't become stagnant.
Okay, yeah. I like that. So that is kind of related to our like post-incubation,
So how we off of what Samar said, we had a conversation similar to this. We had a conversation similar to this at Department of Enterprise Services because they've had less than stellar results doing business with Black-owned businesses. I think they 0.018% of the spend, the total spend went towards Black businesses. And so one of the things I mentioned is that, like Tamar said, people doing business with businesses at different tiers, where are the contracts that can support or go directly to those tiers or levels where somebody can move from small business to medium, large, or wherever, but you create a space where, hey, these type of projects or these types of budgets, we'll focus on these groups that are in this space instead of the largest places sopping up everything because they have huge contracts and they have economies of scale that allow them to have cheaper rates than businesses that are at those lower places. So creating space or in an ecosystem, let's say a nursery, like where is the space for these people of this age group or size or capacity to get the space to grow roots and produce like they should. And if we're making it inclusive for everyone, we have to understand the environment and how it impacts everyone as well. And that's it.
Now I'm on top of passing it around. So I was holding on to it.
Stories sometimes can tell you what the real on-the-ground barriers and opportunities are. And if you think this is inappropriate, just tell me. There is a catering company, woman-owned, that's probably graduated from 4 or 5 of our programs in the room. Like 2/3 of the people know who she is. Really good food. I've tasted it on 6 or 7 different occasions. She obtained a Federal Express van, but has difficulty getting Tacoma Power to do an EV connection locally. Tacoma Power told me at the spring conference at the UWT, just find a location. So I found two churches in East Tacoma in a food desert. And I was referred to quote engineers at Tacoma Power. They gave me every reason it should be located there and all the costs that were to be involved. Meanwhile, she's involved with the Electric Vehicle Association of San Jose that told me all the good things that they're doing for EV. So can we help her get Tacoma Power to do an EV station? They're not doing that application due December 1. We'll write the application, but it's required that the local utility support the application. Number 2, really good food. She goes to Taquilla to make the food. It's a long trek up there and back to reserve it and all that. Can we help find a co-working kitchen for herself and other food vendors locally? I've talked to a number of entities and there are some hurdles to go through. And she goes right by the book. She's got all the food training, the $1,500 fee, she do the catering outside of the van, and all the other business regulations.
Is that Karen?
One of her business plan, her original business plan, is to go serve businesses down at the port. But I remember when the port was once thriving, and there would be lots of food trucks down there, a couple of generations back. The port says she is required to be part of the Food Van Association in order to park her van in front of the facilities to serve the employees. I think that's discriminatory. She thinks that's discriminatory. But here we have a very creative person. She's also looking for affordable financing, not just financing, but affordable financing to upgrade her equipment. But I see real life stories. There's many more like her out there. But if at some point in this whole process, we could bring some real life people to show where the policies conflict with the opportunities. She wanted to be a subcontractor for food, for parks and the Boulevard School District. Both cases, they said no.
You gotta have one contract for all food in all the facilities, so there are no subcontracting opportunities. Can't we open the procurement process, like Michael and others have suggested, so that you can compete for some of these contracts? The reality is, we have to move from talk to action, I know, whether it be at the state level or at the local level. And I hope that progress can be made on her behalf, but they have many other entrepreneurs like. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, Tamar, Tim, and Michael. There's a few things I want to note. So based off of the most recent MBDA data, which unfortunately is 2018, which is already problematic, 63% of BIPOC-owned businesses in Washington State make an annual gross revenue of $50,000. These are businesses that are only capping off at $50,000. So going back to what Tamar said, we recognize, if we're thinking about that, right, there's a far smaller number of folks that are making more than $50,000 a year in their business. And going back to what Tamar said, we don't have infrastructure to support those businesses. The report that we did for the Black Collective highlighted that there was a lot of folks that said, hey, at the beginning phase, and we see that, right, there's a lot of accelerator programs to support the startup of businesses. But like as an entrepreneur that has scaled beyond $50,000, it gets isolating. You have to learn how to delegate. You have to make sure you have bookkeeping in place. You have to make sure you're doing your taxes on time, and then the mindset with all of those pieces. That infrastructure isn't in place, right? And when we think about, if we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, a lot of that should be tied to legacy building and sustainability, and it cannot only focus on how to get folks started, because if folks are only getting, if the data right now is saying 63% of businesses are only making up to $50,000 a year, that's still not creating an equitable ecosystem where BIPOC businesses can thrive. So how can we create a system that not only tackles business action steps, but also tackles the mindset and the financial literacy that it takes to scale your business beyond 50,000? How can we make sure that we're not only expecting BIPOC entrepreneurs to make 100,000? Let's get $1 million businesses going for BIPOC entrepreneurs inside. Like, because I get frustrated being the only Black woman in the room to be able to say what my business can do, and folks being shocked. It's almost like when I'm in spaces and I talk about my businesses, folks might as well say, "Oh, you're very articulate." It's that same kind of microaggression when you talk about your business, when you talk about having staff, and folks are like, "So how?" But that's how the system has been created to ensure that BIPOC entrepreneurs don't have the tools that they need to thrive, to ensure that they are excluded from contracts, to ensure that when they do apply for contracts, there are gatekeepers, like Tamar said, that say, are you as good at other folks I'm used to working with? Right, so how can we create that system where we're supporting our BIPOC entrepreneurs beyond $50,000, because that is problematic in itself, right? That's not a business that I see as sustainable. So how can we make sure we're helping folks at every level of their business so that Pierce County can say, we have a large number of BIPOC entrepreneurs that are making $500,000, right? What would that do for our landscape, our economic landscape, to be able to say we have BIPOC entrepreneurs that are now creating and funding good paying jobs, that are able to say, hey, the city of Tacoma might not be able to do A, B, and C, but our entrepreneurial landscape is able to backfill A, B, and C, right? How can we create that holistic, full throttle system? Is what I'm hoping this group is doing, like that we're contributing to that conversation.
And also, just like you said real quick, and so thank you for your comments, because it reminded me, and I've talked to Sam about it, and you others in the room, a lot of what's happening is we've removed barriers and we're replacing the boundaries. And it seems like that's what that food truck is going through. Great food, love for you to fill this out. Hey, I filled this out. You didn't fill it out like I needed to. We want you to find a location. I found a location. That's not the location that we want. And so as you keep going through, ultimately we're going to give it to you. You know why? Especially for us, you did everything that a good Black person should do to have a business that I'm going to support. You ran the race and the mission that I put on top of you. But no one holds anyone up here accountable. We hear it all the time. We hear what the county and the city and everyone wants to do. But then when you walk in and ask, why are you making it so difficult? Now you're causing issues, you're causing problems for me. Well, let's just shut that program down. It's easier. Who's the next person up? We talk about these incubators and what it looks like. What do these businesses look like? And it is sad that only a few black businesses can say, hey, I make $100,000, I make $120,000. And I heard the coldest thing, and it upset me the other day, when they said, do you know what a salary is? And I'm looking. And it said, that's what an organization pays you to forget the dreams that they see you're capable of doing. When I hear the number of $50,000, that's what your dream was worth, because you don't have the support to elevate that. What do? You take your knowledge, you take your mindset, you take your skills, you take it to an organization that will never respect you the way that you respected your dream. You don't get any of the credit, but you brought us to the organization. Why? Because they had the funding to push a great idea that they were never capable of building in the first place. But then they get mad at you because you want a pay raise. You want to be paid for value of your intellectuals that you brought to that organization. Boom, remove the barrier, we hired you. Boundaries, oh, we need you to go get a master's in this. We need that education. Well, you didn't ask for the master's. Well, you took my idea and you blossomed it. Right. And so exactly to your point, what are we doing? Entrepreneurship is amazing. Dreams are amazing. But what are those levels looking like in support all the way through? Because we have a bunch of support for people that don't have jobs. We have a bunch of support for people that don't have housing. We're trying to figure all that out. But what about the section that does have housing, but they have a 1-bedroom with 4 kids? What about the ones that do have a job, but they're only making $23,000? They're still in poverty, but they make just enough to not be supported. Or you're just successful enough to not be supported or thought about. Then you fail. And the question is, well, if you would have did it this way, maybe you would have won. Well, if you would have opened the door and stopped putting boundaries in front of everything that I'm supposed to do, then we could win and we could be sustainable. But if we walk down our streets, all we see is colored businesses over and over and over. What happened to Miss Jones? Man, I brought my cousin in town because she had the best spaghetti. They closed us down because we weren't getting the traffic. We couldn't be open at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock because that wasn't to the standards in the area that I happened to be in or I was able to be in doing the sunset. But I had permission to operate it. But I have to operate under their rules. And when I don't play by their rules, we all know what happens. You get kicked out the game. And then you stop dreaming. You stop supporting this economy. And you know what happens? The great ideas go to Seattle. They go to Thursday. They go to the places that they can go make more money or be supported. And we're sitting here spinning our fingers once again on why we can't keep and establish businesses in somewhere. We shouldn't have to leave here to live here. But it happens all the time. I love Tacoma, but I live in Frederickson. I shouldn't have to be there, but I can afford to be there. Those are the things that have to be talked about if we're talking about supporting business. You got to have the open truth and be willing to call out some of the things that are happening and some of the barriers that continue to be placed on a lot of the great work that each of us are doing. What do we do next? You can be great at what you do now, but what do we do next when we get the questions of, I did everything you told me to do. Now what? I don't know. You don't fit our program no more.
I think
Well,
I think that you actually hit something really valuable that this group can do. And I think a lot of the times, and this is from my experience in Seminole County government, I'm not going to say anything about any Washington or city government because I haven't worked in there, but in Seminole County, back in Florida, we had the Economic Development Office and the Regulatory Office just never talked. There was no stewardship, there was no shepherding people through permitting processes, there was no regulatory assistance and liaising. And I think this is something that each of us can kind of wield our own sphere of influence with regulatory offices, whether it's food or we have Becky here from the city of UP, something, so we can have that connectivity and
stewardship from those offices. And so I think that's a really, really excellent point that we should make an action step and how this group can help have those regular meetings with regulatory people and be that liaison connecting business to government so we can help increase that stewardship and reduce boundaries and barriers. So I love that. And I think that's really, really helpful. In the interest of time, we did have some ideas for sharing the ecosystem maps. And I also included the QR code for both the Blood Collectives group and also the Bead Projects group. I don't know if Taylor Ray is here. Is that you? I didn't know what you looked like. Oh my gosh. Hi. I'll give you a second towards the end to talk about that too. So, and this way we can keep cross-promoting and showcasing. So I did include some time for that. But one of the things that we had talked about with looking at a solid ecosystem and creating that one-stop shop is some tech ideas. And I know that serving rural areas or whether they're rural or if there's limitations in tech savviness, I know that this is only one phase of an ecosystem map, and then we would also have to make it culturally relevant. I know that we would also have to make it accessible technologically or not. What was the word? The analog. It was like before we had the internet. So I wanted to share a couple of examples of products and places where they've done something similar and consolidated, and we can start thinking about who and how this would look. So Jill turned me on to Startup Tucson. This would have all of their organizations, and this would be, all of us, with like a little description. People can kind of figure it out. There are some of these things on like Choose Washington or My Startup Washington or something, but somehow we can consolidate and all collaboratively share this. Yes.
Are we thinking of taking something like Evergreen is how they have?
Yeah,
there's a lot of help.
Well, this is kind of the session where we're going to think about that all together. So, I'll run through these examples really quick, and then we can think about how big or small we want to make it. So some of these are, because that was definitely something that we all agreed upon. We all need to know who we are, how to get the word out, and how to share it. So just trying to find platforms that would work for each of us, and also, being thoughtful with capacity, budget. But there's about 90 groups that are on this organization list. I mean, if we all put, let's just say we wanted to have, some type of robust 211 business platform. If each of our organizations put in a couple $1,000s, that's staff, that's tech, that's, but who, how, those are the logistical pieces that we haven't got to yet, because we're still ideating. And it's just a question, in this process, is there expectation that we're starting from scratch, or that we are potentially building on something that exists? I got Evergreen, that maybe that's for nonprofits, and we do that for something else. Are we looking to build upon? I don't ever want to reinvent the wheel. Oh my gosh, no, yeah. I think and this is kind of also the purpose of pulling all of our resources together. There's a lot of people, when you were doing the ecosystem mapping and somebody else started up, and I was like, and then I think that's when we first, wrangle all the kittens. Everybody just put their info into, I'm sorry, my hand is like, okay. Send your info to Michael so we can just have one person do it, and we can all just support that. And instead of duplicate, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with duplication. That's Grant has taught me that duplication is a good thing, but consolidation, collaboration. There's a company called Size Up. I wanted to just kind of run through with you. I'm not a Size Up vendor. something, a tool that I used back in Florida and also up in Skagit County. And so I can just do a quick run through, but I'm not a salesperson for this. But what this platform does is it allows businesses to basically just put in their ideas, and it will walk them through step by step what they're thinking. So if they wanted to do some market research, figure out where their target markets are, and this can be any type of industry at all, it will generate like a PDF that they can take right to a bank of their business plan, their market analysis, and all this stuff, which is really cool. And then when I was just at IADC conference like a week ago, and I asked the sales rep that we worked with before, and I said, is it possible to take this and populate all of our organizations so as this person is developing their plan and walking through, it will populate and let them know where to go and who to talk to and what organization is the best fit for them? And they said that they can. I didn't ask them how much yet. So anyways, I just was like, I wanted to kind of share that with you, just ideas of what we can do with this, and just solicit your ideas and feedback, and maybe you guys even have other ideas about that.
I just wanted to say I'm a Florida girl too, so I actually have this, and I do believe, well, when I thought about this idea of shortcutting a process, creating something new, creating an opportunity for us to start with, maybe this is something easier. Maybe not this one, it's something that exists that we add to, and then if there's still a creation of something new, we can explore that separately. But I think there's some value in immediate. Like there has to be some like low-hanging fruit that we can optimize on, and then we can build on. Absolutely, should be kind of part of that. Excellent.
So then the next one. This was just what we did back east. A one-pager with everybody's link on it. You know, it's easy. You can put it together. It's consolidated, but I still feel like if I was a business, I would be like, okay, cool. And you know, well, I mean, some of them are like, I wouldn't know what sport is, for instance, if I was just starting out. So I feel like I would like to have something where there's a little bit more descriptive, where people can kind of see themselves instead of clicking on a whole bunch of links and just because I would give up after two. Personally, I don't have the tenacity of an entrepreneur. And then the other idea, these were all suggestions that kind of came up in the last meeting too, was somebody that would create like a kind of mimic the United Way's 211 resource helpline, but make one for business. So again, we don't want to. We can grow what's already here, and so if there's something that we're working on or that already exists, then we can kind of make that tool or expand on that existing tool.
So this is great. I always have a thought, and Jennifer and I talked about it a little bit. A lot of us here in the room are using tools as well. We ought to poll the audience as well for another exercise and kind of say, what are some of the tools that everyone's using that we see internet? I mean, I'm a big fan of Spaceworks, what they've done over the years, and they've got a wide plan on a lot of tools that they've been very successful there, as an example.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, and that's the same thing. Like, okay, so Michael's the ecosystem guy. We all feed the information to him. We all put it on our tool. We all work, and then we all share it on our own websites. But maybe there's limitations. I know sometimes my experience with government might not be able to put some of these things on. But how can we consolidate these efforts? So that'll be an action step for next time. So we'll pull the audience of best tools and ideas for tech. But we do want to make the action plan a deliverable over the next year that we find a way to make one of these or something happen. So that's the goal. And what's the timeline? You know, that was a great. Let's make it happen. 1 year from now, we'll have worked out all of the bugs, and everybody will be happy with it. No, I'm just kidding. That's a great question. I don't know. I've just been convening people. I don't know what we all have the bandwidth to do. But this is something that I think that if we keep pushing forward and keep collaborating and keep coming together and we identify an opportunity, we can create a budget or expand on someone else's. And then, the purpose of coming together and doing this is so if there's somebody that is already really active, then we are aware of how we can build on that. So we should talk more and see how we can expand that. Going back to our presentation for the tool, the agreed upon priorities before the ones that we had identified as well today, and then I will share those with everybody. Sorry. And then and continuing to support the development of the ecosystem. I know we sent these out prior to the meeting. If you haven't had a chance, this is the Black Collective's QR code. You're welcome to participate in that. And then if you want to give it, can you? Yeah.
So something I noticed was that a lot of the struggles are knowing what to have ready when approaching organizations. So I put this together in a form that will create a rubric. So they'll know what your organization does, what the outcomes are supposed to be for the support that they're giving. They'll know what, if there's income issues or income levels that they support at. For instance, NPDA supports people at 500,000 or above. So some people aren't at that space, so they need to know, can I approach them? I also asked about documentation and a few other things. So everybody that fills out the form is automatically set up to send you an invitation to the, the dashboard, which will have a list of everyone on there, all their contact information, their role title, the organization, what part of is it county, is it state, is it city? So all those questions are asked so we can have in one space accurate references. So again, everybody that's participating or everybody that completes the form is automatically sending email. I don't have a secretary, so I have to set up a whole system. But it was a problem I'm seeing over and over. It's like, who do I send people to? What are they going to do for them? Does it cost them anything? That's a big thing. Some people don't know that SBDC is free or different places are free. So that's the purpose of this forum. And I think the last time I checked, maybe 16 people had filled it out. I was like, there's been 90 people. But anyways, I'm just going to keep sharing it, and hopefully everybody takes the 10 minutes it takes to get on there. So.
Thank you so much. Okay.
I filled it out. Not too many. But on the question of what does, my organization require? We don't require anything. So there was no option for nothing. So I just put government ID, even though that's not. So when you get to us, don't say that we require government.
Because also, I give feedback, so I know it's like I created it, it's perfect, but it might not. So I give you feedback, and I can adjust and shift it, and it's already placed, and then everybody has access. And if the email doesn't come through, let me know, or things like that. So. I would say you can. Some things are multiple options. You can create more than one description of what you do, as long as it's different contact issues. They will let you some.
I guess I was thinking more like economically support, right? Like there are two different levels that we support, so it could be the both of those.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And what did you want? What were you pushing around the room? 0 to 100 or 100 to 350? Can you
codify that question?
So, for instance, MBDA will support businesses that are at 500,000 or above. So, if that's the space where you only support businesses, then that's what you choose. If there's no requirement, I thought it was just mine. If there aren't any requirements, you can just click no requirements. For instance,
I don't think
EBD is
I don't
like.
think that's not that as an option. No, there's only a question for it. Yeah, because I saw the dollar ranges and I'm like, oh, I know. So I think that would be.
Yeah, I'll check that. What's the Wi-Fi password?
What was that?
The Wi-Fi password you're using.
I think it's just your name and. I have no idea.
It's secure.
Yeah. And I'll also kick it over to Taylor as well, because the B project is going on, and it's a little bit different than just like the collecting of organizations, so I wanted to give her a moment to talk about that as well.
Yes. Well, hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Taylor, and I'm new to this group. I'm really excited because we're working on this B project. And basically what it is a business entrepreneurial ecosystem data collection project. And so a big part of it is kind of like what you guys were all saying is like we need to know both what opportunities are already there and how entrepreneurs are connected to those opportunities in different stages of business. One thing that I see a lot is a lot of the same entrepreneurs come to like the same networking events, and they're all really well connected in the same kind of communities. But those entrepreneurs that are just starting out or that are already developed and kind of past that stage, it's really hard to find support because they just don't know where to go. And so this project is aimed at getting collections of data based on your opinions on where the resources are, how they're connected. And there's so many resources for education, for entrepreneurs, for support groups, for government agencies, but the way that they're connected, there's a lot of different opinions out there. And so if we know how well they're connected and what your opinions are, then we can come up with solutions and find out how to make it better. So if you could take this survey, it'd be really helpful. It's really hefty. Everything's It's about 15 minutes long, but it covers a lot of bases. It covers a lot of industries, and it's going to be really helpful. William Factory's been working on this project for about 2 years, and at the end of the study, it's going to be analyzed by 2 really great MBA analysts, and it's just a really cool project. So I'm excited to wrap it up, and I think this room is completely perfect for the type of opinions that we need to gain.
So I have a question about the B project. Is the B project Tacoma or Pierce County based, and then what are the outcomes specific to Pierce County? What do you all expect to get from the data that was specifically used for Pierce County?
Yeah, so it is specifically Pierce County, and there's a lot of statistics on the B project website, which I can give to you after. I have a QR code for that as well. But there's a big disparity between King County and Pierce County. And like you had said earlier, like we shouldn't have to watch as we prosper and we grow, and then everybody that prospers and grows, moves to Seattle or moves to Thurston. And so it's kind of a good test and a good way to find solutions on, how can we start keeping more of the talent that's grown here, and how can we foster a better community of entrepreneurship so that, we can really foster that community here.
And then my last question is, are you going to be disaggregating your data to identify maybe the barriers or challenges that BIPOC businesses are facing versus non-BIPOC businesses?
Yeah, definitely, that's in there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also want to just echo that, we should all be sharing our info and our intel together. It's like, I was like, I want to make sure it's okay to circulate that, but I feel like this is really good info that we're always collecting all the time. I always share our organization list that, of people who have been coming to these meetings. But keep in mind, you guys, I just got here, so if there are people that, that need to be on that list that aren't here, please let me know. Please help me reach out to continue inviting folks to the table and leverage all of y'all's connections as we want to make sure that we're representing all the community. I've even also wanted to kind of, and I think, I don't remember who made the point, but actually, I think it was you, just a moment ago. One of the things that I think is also really helpful in our referral network pipeline and creating this, this area where people can come is also kind of knowing each other's personalities very well, too. Like, I don't know, I mean, I know I've had people who are starting up or different types of business owners in their phase of their business life cycle that I've been like, oh, this person would be in, they technically fit this organization, but I feel like personality-wise, they might be more comfortable working with someone else. And like, that's just how it is. So I think it's really important that we all kind of know each other. It's like, oh, you know what, so-and-so, there are some people who can be, I don't know, maybe people think I'm not professional enough or something like that, and they want somebody with more expertise and more an MBA or something, or they want somebody that's a little bit more, I don't know, that just makes them feel comfortable or not intimidated. Or so I think it's important that we just create an area where we make everybody feel comfortable also. So that was another part, just to add to this too, is start getting to know each other personally. And then so as we're getting close to time, I wanted to just kind of share the next steps. We're going to be working on how to, we'll be focusing on the action plan around the marketing and marketing that mapping tool with the info that we collect. I'll be sharing contacts and any info and the results from our prioritization survey today. And then I wanted to just say for November, I was planning on just doing a virtual meeting just because holidays are crazy and booking things and it's horrible. So, and everybody's gonna be sick. So that'll be a virtual, that'll be a virtual meeting for November. And so when we come back together, that one will be virtual, and then when we meet again in the spring, that will be in person. So if you have a place where you would like to host, let me know, or if you have a recommendation or anything like that, please send it my way, and we'll get it booked and set up for kicking it back off as we continue this progress together. So I really wanted to say thank you guys for all the work that you do, and I also wanted to give a moment and have some time if anybody has special announcements, things that are going on.
Tim's in notes, just like he's got to say something. So hi, I think I know half of this room, and raise your hand if you already know who I am. Yes, hello friends. So I'm Doug Barflow. I am a small business owner, and I represent all the people you were talking about, all the people that you were talking about, and all the mistakes that you were talking about in every single step of my process. I own Big Bus Paddle Sports. We live in Tacoma. We spend time down in Ruston Way. There's a huge blue school bus that drives around with the guy that's dressed in all pink and looks real crazy. That's me. I'm also the marketing communications and outreach manager for Ventures Nonprofit. But prior to that, I went to Michael, and I went to the SBA, and I went to MBDA and the GSBA, and I've been through all the programs. I landed with Ventures. I went from being a Ventures client to now being a Ventures employee, because personality-wise, it literally matched up with me, and I also had a job opening. I fall into that category of small businesses that are making less than $50,000. I'm currently with Spaceworks to try and push past that $50,000 mark because I want to be able to grow. But I just wanted to say to everybody that you should be very proud of yourselves for all of the stuff that you've accomplished thus far. Today is just my first day here, and these are things that Tim and I have talked about, and to see it actually like in action is very cool, and it makes me very excited. But at the same time, do need to like keep pushing forward and find some way to make this visible and make it so that people do have these resources, because and my boss hates this. Year zero is the hardest part for everybody that starts a business. And year zero is from day one of like in the shower or on the toilet where you have an idea to 3 years into when you actually finally broke even for the first time. And then there's also that year one that's actually like 10 years of just trying to scale up. And I think that's what you're talking about tonight, is like really scaling up. And you guys are really hitting it and building on that. And it's super cool. And I really appreciate everybody in here. And maybe, I don't know, that's not like a gauge of super cool. It's not a gauge. But it's super cool. I think that's a gauge. But yeah, and if you haven't met me before, please come to me so I can give you my card. Check your Instagram accounts, because you probably got a message from me about when you guys hang out.
I don't know that.
But yeah, and then of course, as Dyer's Ventures goes, I think I can speak to the fact that we do most of those things that are on the list, except for it was the very last step that you guys had. And I think that our clients really appreciate that. But you're right, there's a lot of space where we don't continue, we don't grow. So I'm looking forward to really creating this ecosystem with you all and working together, because everybody does serve sort of a different demographic, and we don't want to leave anybody behind. You know, we don't want to have, especially if my heart is here, but I live in Woodville. You know, I can't afford to live there either. But it's, you know, we have a huge opportunity here in Pierce County and in Tacoma specifically. I believe it with all my heart to really build something amazing. Similarly, from Orlando and then from Baltimore, I've watched Baltimore regrow through my high school years into my 20s, and I got to see that transformation. And I think that Tacoma has a huge potential. It sits right on the cusp of that exact same transformation. And we're putting these things in place, so you should all feel really good about that. Anybody have any questions?
We're both from Baltimore and Orlando.
That's actually very good.
So I guess that's the natural order of things to Tacoma.
Hello, everyone. Pardon me. I'm Andrew Fry. I'm the Director of Industry Partners and lecturer at the School of Engineering and Technology at UW Tacoma. And I am an entrepreneur many times over. And I have been helping and basically as an individual supporting as much entrepreneurial activity as I can. Both as I've been teaching a course called Entrepreneurship and Technology for a couple of decades. I helped with Jill a while back. I have a certificate in entrepreneurship. And I'm just introducing myself at this point in time. I just like to get involved. Spaceworks, again, as everyone is doing. I not only love them, I've been a mentor for them. I've been a company that went through Spaceworks because I had a small idea that I wanted to take on for just a short period of time. And it ended up going for 3.5 years. And I had to eventually, I just said, please take this and run it, because it was great. My one comment I wanted to make after that long introduction was, we talk about this idea of support after an incubator and so on, and I'm going to just mention something tactical as opposed to strategic for you to think about. We should help people in terms of how to create the correct advisory board for you at the moment you are in business and what you need going forward. Because if you're looking for support after you've incubated, who is on that advisory board can be very important for your success next. And don't be afraid to know that advisory boards can take stages. You can say, I'm putting together a group of support systems, sort of my first readers for my idea of my business, knowing full well that we might have to then graduate to an advisory board with a kind of diversity of interest and knowledge and experience to help you get past and post incubation. Then finally, you may eventually need to build a board of directors. And believe it or not, the board of directors that you build for your company, and you can have one for a smaller company too, but as you're going past that 50K into the 1 million and so on and so forth, especially if you incorporate, you'll need a board of directors, possibly. They're not necessarily going to be your advisory board either, because it's a different stage. I just say that there should probably be some interest in a little bit of investigation, perhaps some training into how to take someone who's got a great idea and help them understand how they can take advantage of all of these folks and advise them throughout to their big success. That's just think about that. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Walker, and I just wanted to invite you all to an event that both myself, on behalf of Momentum Professional Strategy Partners, and Tim Strady, on behalf of William Factory, we're collaborating on an event next month on October 26th from 10 to 12. We all are invited. We're going to be really digging into what's next. How can we continue to build a sustainable ecosystem for BIPOC entrepreneurs? To remind you all to attend, this is going to be a really exciting and engaging conversation. We're also providing food, and so we would love to see you all there. I will pass that information on to you via email, and I'll also send you the link to the report just so that it's like another QR. But we'd love to see you all there, so just wanted to invite you.
Thank you so much, Christina. I appreciate it. Oh, tomorrow.
I got one. We got one. Yeah, here, some of y'all gonna have good food. Is it on? Yeah. Oh, Tamar Jackson, Senior Director of Community Engagement for Workforce Central, and I work with my man Sam, but we also co-lead the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force, which is a holistic approach of how we're serving community through services that they actually need, from employment, education, and training, young adult services, basic needs, health, addressing the whole situation in one space, not just all of the board. So, first, definitely want to invite you guys out. We are hosting our 12th event collaboration for a cause at the Tacoma Dome. You know, it isn't taking the dome over. But it's going to be for community, for Pierce County. When I say we've done 12, we've been in different demographics all through Pierce County. And now it's really aligning all of our connections in one place at one time. With Sam and his team over in Business Solutions, we're looking at having over 150 employees, vendors, services, everything. But again, ultimately, so no one that we serve has to prostitute themselves to justify that they need help. They can go get employment, but they can also get mental needs, they can also do financial needs, education and training, whatever it is, we want it in one place so that they can just holistically be served and feel confident in walking out, but definitely understand that it's about them in this city. So Tamsin, I definitely will get you the information. I would love to invite you guys, if there is an organization that you feel needs to be there because they have something to give to this community or an opportunity to give, please reach out. You can sign up as a vendor, you can sign up as a service provider, it does not matter. But collaboration is the new thing, and we have to do it together if we're truly serving this community. So definitely want to get that word out to you guys as well.
Thank you. How would you say prostitute ourselves? No, to say real deal, right? So first of all, I am grateful to be in this space, Florida girl. Yes. Very grateful. But what I wanted to say is three things. First of all, my name is Dr. Tracy Harrell. I'm wearing 3 hats. Partially past president of an organization called the National Black MBA Association, MBA for Masters of Business Administration, group that's been around for 52 years focused on economic and intellectual empowerment. I'm now the Vice President of Corporate and Community Affairs. We focus on entrepreneurship. So we're leading a series called the Better Together Empowerment Series. And it's about bringing organizations like all of us, those that are here to support business, specifically Black business. I get to say that because I'm Black now. I'm joking. But we want to focus on all business. But Black businesses, as you heard, there's a significant challenge. And what I'm super excited about is we won a grant recently, actually 3, on our 3rd one. It's called the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully Experience. So I'm also an entrepreneur. And I'm
after spending 25 years in the corporate space, 8 years at IBM, 14 years at Disney, 5 years at Microsoft, I was always the one who, you know, we did the diversity work because you were the only leader in the organization on the team. It was my passion. And it was a combination of being able to create a space where it was equity, inclusion, belonging, and truly justice, where the outcomes are different. So the work that we're doing now with the Better Together Empowerment Series and this Living Powerfully experience is about different outcomes. How do we change the outcome? We're talking about systems. Systems, as we all have said, are designed to maintain the status quo. So the work that we're doing is absolutely transformational. So I'm no longer at Microsoft, I'm no longer in the corporate space, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I even have a new president of my nonprofit, which really is exciting for anyone who's run a nonprofit, right? It's like, oh my God, when you find another leader to do that work, it's amazing. So I am 100% focused on this better, what we just talked about. So I'm gonna help this beautiful lady and the leaders in this room amplify and accelerate this timeline. So between now and November 21st, I'm actually going to create a space, because that's just who I am and what I do. But I'm gonna create a space where I have an amplified conversation about how can we drive changes that we're talking about. So this series, this empowerment series, is about all of us saying this is what we do, but it's also about how do we change our mindset. So expect some new information from me to come out within the next week or two about how we can truly change the status quo. So have you all have heard of IQ and EQ for emotional intelligence? What I'm bringing to this community and to this ecosystem is something called PQ. It's positive intelligence. Has anyone heard of positive intelligence? PQ? Yes! See, it's white people. No, I'm just joking. It's white executives. No, I'm serious. Over 1 million people have done it, like for senior executives. So this has been done in the corporate space with senior leaders and executives. It's absolutely about how do you change the status quo. So what we can do is we can close the gap. So I'm bringing PQ for free because I'm going to get sponsors from people like you, from some people in this room. But we're going to bring it to our entrepreneurs and to those nonprofits. PQ is about, like, it's guaranteed. I got witnesses. 1 million people have done it. We'll send the metrics and the details. It is guaranteed to improve your performance as an individual, your ability to work with your teams, your business, to make more money. It changes. I'm looking at you. It changes. No, because it's about us. We hear the story. People have been talking. Come on now. We've been doing this diversity work for a while. It changes the outcome. Like, that's what justice means. It means they're not the same story and the same outcome. It's the same story with a different outcome. I hear your pain because I felt it myself. Just so that you know, I hear you, I feel you. It's my pain. So when I say I'm fighting for entrepreneurs like me, I mean I'm fighting for all of us, because you're obviously in this room because you care about the ecosystem. So I just want to say, get excited. There's some changes coming. They're guaranteed to work. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you being here too. And I got excited whenever I see that 850 area code.
Right. Well, I really just wanted to close it out with just giving us some time to hang out, network if you like. We have a little bit of time left, but and there's plenty of snacks. So please enjoy yourselves, and I really do appreciate everybody coming out, supporting this work and this collaborative effort, and then I'll follow up with reports, data, results, special events, and the contact list. So thank you guys so much. Feel free to hang out or you know, go wherever you want to go. Yeah, yes, cheeses.